Hello, EDT 510, and welcome to week 3. I'm excited to kick off week 3 with all of you as we begin to take a look at safety and responsible use in terms of technology in education. You all have done a great job in weeks 1 and 2. I've really enjoyed watching your Flipgrids and reading your annotations and hypothesis. And I will be providing some feedback and just contributing to the conversation over the next few days. So be on a lookout for that. I do want to remind you that as much as possible, I'd like you to be responding and interacting with one another on both of those platforms. So take some time, be sure to read other annotations from your classmates and respond. Think about how you can contribute to their learning and their understanding. And the same goes for Flipgrid. As much as possible, I'd like that to become really a space of conversation instead of just a bunch of responses to one question. So please keep those things in mind as we move forward. And many of you have reached out to me about various questions you have regarding those tools or the syllabus. So please always feel free to do that. You can always email me or send me a message in Canvas or send me a text. And I'm happy to talk with you about any concerns or questions or ideas that you might have. So let's dive in and take a look at week 3. I'm here on the home page and I'm going to click on modules to take a look at week 3. And I should say I made a fake student account. So hopefully this looks very similar to what you see when you're navigating in our Canvas course. And so as you can see, week 3 is going to be taking a look at safety and responsible use, focusing specifically on laws related to technology in education and protecting students' rights to privacy. I have 3 texts for us to read this week, so you'll notice there are fewer texts than in week 2, and that is intentional. The first text, Balancing Classroom Innovation and Student Privacy, this comes from Cambridge Public Schools, and it's a really nice overview of the policies that they've put in place in order to make sure that responsible use is occurring in their district. However, the PDF file is not playing very well with hypothesis, so you are not required to annotate that text, but I do expect you to read it carefully and thoughtfully. And then we have 2 more that I do want you to annotate with hypothesis. This is the first week that we'll take a look at one of the texts we'll read throughout the rest of the course, Future Ready Learning, which is a report from the Education Department, the Federal Department of Education. And I just want you to read pages 65 through 77 about infrastructure this week and annotate. And then there's also a great blog post for EdTech Focus on K-12 about privacy and security compliance. So please make sure you read those things thoughtfully and carefully. As usual, we have a technology and learning analysis question through Flipgrid, and I'm excited about this one. This week we're going to focus on figure 1. And then the other major assignment you have this week is to start working on your responsible use case study with your group. So we'll talk a little bit more about that. If I click next, it's going to bring me to our Flipgrid. Friendly reminder, so these are from week 2, these Flipgrids, and I'll be adding another grid tonight for week 3 to take a look at our technology and learning analysis. And then we have, as I mentioned, the text from Cambridge Public Schools. And then we have the assignment for the responsible use case study. And this is a collaborative assignment. I've assigned you a group that I'd like you to work with, and I assigned the groups by looking at your responses to the survey. And I did my best to create a situation where there's some diversity in your group. So people who work in different fields, people who work with different age groups in education, people who've been in the program for different amounts of time, so that you can have a variety of perspectives and expertise as you're working together. And my plan is that this will be your group for this assignment, It will also be a group that you'll work with during our required synchronous meeting in a few weeks, and it will be the group that you complete your course curation project with as well. And so the purpose of this assignment is for you to consider what are some situations where you really do need to think about responsible use, and how are you going to make those decisions out in the field in your different work contexts. And so I've linked here some scenarios for you to consider. And as you can see, there are 5 scenarios, all of them dealing with technology and education. And as a group, I'm asking you to select one of these scenarios. So get together with your group, read through the scenarios, talk about what's interesting, what seems applicable to you, and select one. All of these scenarios give you some sort of real-world situation. In scenario 1, it's asking you, how are you going to ensure that your tool, your technology tool, protects student privacy and promotes responsible use? Section 2 is asking you to develop a professional learning session, scenario B is asking you to develop a professional learning session for teachers. And scenario E is asking you to develop a professional learning session for school leaders and administrators. Scenario C is asking you to create some communication for parents. And scenario D is asking you to develop a written set of guidelines and procedures. So in any of those cases, there is a product that you need to develop, but that's going to depend on the scenario that you select. And then you can see I'm asking you to formulate a solution for this situation, and that's the artifact that you'll submit to me. It might be a presentation, it might be a written policy, it might be a professional learning session, some lesson plans, or something entirely different. So talk with your group about what makes sense. If you have questions or want to consult with me, I'm happy to meet with you or talk with you about what would be appropriate. Your final product should be of professional quality, something that you can share with a public audience like teachers at a school, or a group of administrators, or a group of parents. So please keep that in mind. I am looking for something that's finished and professional. And then I'm also asking you each to submit an individual reflection. And in that reflection, I want you to tell me specifically what you contributed to your group's solution and your group's product. I know sometimes in group work, things don't get distributed as evenly as we would like. And so that's one way to keep you accountable, is I want you to tell me in your group, what did you contribute? And I also want to know, in your own words, what did you learn and how might it apply to your professional situation? And then, of course, please make sure your solution aligns to the laws and best practices in our readings for this week and next week. And make sure you follow copyright guidelines, Creative Commons guidelines, and cite any sources that you consult using APA format. And if you have questions about that, I'm happy to consult with you as well. As I mentioned, this is a group project. There is a rubric here at the bottom that gives you an idea of how it will be graded, and this is worth 15 points on your final course grade. When you're ready to submit the assignment, you can click the blue button that says Submit. And here you have some options. So you can upload a file, you can type text, you can give me a link to something online or a Google document or other media. But keep in mind that when you submit the assignment, you are submitting for your group. So your group just needs to select one person who's going to submit your final project for me. So make sure you communicate about that within your group. Now, as I mentioned, you are going to be working in groups. And so I want to show you some tools that are available to you in Canvas to make that collaboration easier. From the course homepage, if you look over here on the right side of the screen, you should see a link for whichever group you're assigned to. So for this fake account I made, I put myself in group A. When I click on group A, that's going to bring me to a new homepage that's just for my group. So within Group A, and I can tell I'm in Group A because it shows me at the top of the screen, we can make our own announcements. So I can make an announcement here to send to the other members of my group, and that's going to send everyone an email communication. We can make our own pages. These work like wiki pages, so you can collaborate together. You can see who else is in your group. So here, these are the rest of the people in Group A. You can have discussion forums in your group. So if I wanted to start a discussion, I can click this blue button in the top right corner. And maybe the first discussion I want to say is, which scenario would you like to choose, right? And then I can scroll down, save this, and people can actually respond to me there in a threaded discussion forum. If I click on Files, I can upload files from my computer that I want to share with my group members, and it will keep them in this folder called Group A. And then these last two tools are also really useful and really interesting. If I click on Conferences, that's going to bring me to this screen. And if I decide to make a conference, it's going to take me to a tool that's called Big Blue Button. And Big Blue Button is a video conferencing tool. So if you want to meet with your group in real time, see one another, have a conversation, one of you can set up this Big Blue Button conference. Make sure you invite all your group members, and it will take you into a room where you can have your web conference and talk with one another. So that's a really useful tool. The other tool is the collaborations here. That's basically going to allow you to integrate with Google Documents right here through Canvas. So instead of having to leave Canvas and work through Google Drive, you can authorize your Google account right here and actually collaborate together in this collaboration space within your group. So all of these things, as long as you're on your group page, are just available to your members of your group and to me. So that can be a useful space, a workspace for you. Now, you're not required to use that space. If you have other tools you want to use to collaborate, maybe you're comfortable with Google Documents and you'd rather just do it there. Maybe there's another video tool you like to use, like Zoom or Appear.in. That's totally up to you. Your group has that discretion, but I did want to make you aware of what's available right here within the course. To get out of the group page, I can go back to my home page, and then I can click on EDT 510 here, or I can click back on Courses or Dashboard and get back to the course that way. All right, so the last thing I wanted to mention is just a few updates about the course syllabus. So if you take a look here at the top, I've added times for our optional office hours. According to the survey you all completed, people were most available at 7 p.m. on Wednesdays and Thursdays. So I've moved all of my optional office hours to 7 p.m. on Wednesdays, and those dates are listed here for you. The next one will be next week on September 27th. The other thing I wanted to point out is that I do have one required synchronous meeting. So that will be one time when you're all required to meet via video conference together. And that is going to be during week 5 on Wednesday, October 4th from 7 to 9 p.m. EST. So if at all possible, please make plans to attend that 2-hour meeting. That one is not optional. If you know ahead of time that you have a conflict, please let me know as soon as possible so we can work out another plan for you. But I think that that's going to be a really fun time together. I have an activity planned for us to do, and I'd like you to be there if at all possible. The other thing I wanted to show you is if you go through the syllabus, obviously I'm still adding in some details here with our Flipgrid analysis. But the due dates are all correct. The office hours have been updated. And if we come down to assignments, your groups are listed here on the syllabus. And so you can see which group you'll be assigned to for our collaborative projects within the course. And I did want to mention also that I've been adding assignments into Canvas. So you should see the directions for your technology manifesto are posted under the Assignments tab. So here and within the course,